Sawadee and welcome to the Funk It Pod, another episode, and it's time for Media Prof Reacts 2. I know you've been waiting for my reaction. There's so many things to react to, but as I promised in the last episode, I promised I have to react to House of the Dragon, of course, because, well, it's the follow-up. It's the prequel, but it's the follow-up, you know what I mean, to Game of Thrones. I polled my students on it, and more than 2/3 of the class that I polled at, not representative, but are watching it. So I figured, hey, let's dive into it. And we're 4 episodes in, so this might change down the line. And just like what I promised to do with Cobra Kai, I'm going to do this within the next week or two to lay out a plan. Where can they go? What would make sense from a story point of view, as well as from a media production point of view, maybe, or like from a I try to focus more on the storytelling part, taking into consideration different theories that could be used to make sense of what has happened and what might happen down the line. So right now, a quick reaction to House of the Dragon. The first 4 episodes. Once maybe season 1 is done, we'll have another one and then discuss what happened, what can happen next, and so on. From again, storytelling / media point of view. Okay, so House of the Dragon. First 4 episodes. My thoughts, my reactions. First thought was like, well, the intros are still cool. Still Game of Thrones sound, intro, Game of Thrones style, the way we're used to it. Of course, it also tells a story. And just like with Game of Thrones, and there are a million breakdown videos of House of the Dragon now already out there, my favorites would still be, I think, just like with Game of Thrones, Emergency Awesome does a great job. So if you don't know Emergency Awesome, check out Emergency Awesome. It's always awesome. I like that the videos also aren't too long. If you want more longer form content or longish content, Alt-Shift-X. I hope I didn't butcher this. I'm sorry. I always think about Alt-Shift-X, I think. That's also a great job in breaking down all those things. It's usually a bit longer than Emergency Awesome, but therefore maybe a few more details. Emergency Awesome therefore has more. I think they're putting out more videos, and I think Emergency Awesome does all the shows, which is wow, respect. So there are not enough breakdown videos, right? So I'm not going to go into like this Easter egg here, this Easter egg there. But again, from a media, so I don't want to say scholars, from someone who spends lots of time studying media content, I do appreciate the connection to Game of Thrones, which is obvious. I do appreciate that the intros are similar, because we know that the intro tells a story, because the intros change every time now. Even the 4 episodes in, the intro changes a little bit, something gets added to it, a new bloodstream goes down. So that's cool. That's storytelling wise also very smart. It forces you to pay attention right away, to put away your phone, just focus on the screen. Smart. And like I said, it tells a story. So eventually we're going to be like, oh, yeah, that all makes sense. It already makes sense a little bit. Of course, the blood could be seen as someone's getting wounded, someone having a baby, whatever, right? So it already makes sense, but I'm sure, just like with Game of Thrones, at the end, it's going to be like, oh, it zooms out and you're like, oh, shit, that made sense. Okay, so cool. Then, storytelling-wise, now it could be recency bias, but it feels a bit slow. It's a bit slowish. No, I'm not sure if that's just because in Game of Thrones we started with like a beheading in the very beginning. Now we also had some violence already in House of the Dragon, of course, but I felt like Game of Thrones was harsher with it, faster with it. But let's see. I mean, the big oosh came at the end of season 1 in Game of Thrones, right? So let's see how this plays out with House of the Dragon. I assume they have a long-term plan as well. They probably planned for at least, and I haven't read on any spoilers. I assume they have planned on at least 5 seasons. I'm guessing. So I haven't read the books. Are there books for it? See my ignorance. No, there are. Yeah, I know that there's literature on it, because Emergency Awesome references that all the time, but I don't know how much they stick to it, to be honest. I seen, again, shout out to Emergency Awesome, not affiliated. I watched the last video, and he explained very well what the book says, and then also how they didn't use everything that's in the book, of course, and changed a little bit. Very interesting. So give it up to him again. But now I stop plugging other people's channels, especially if I'm not affiliated. But yeah, so I'm not sure how much they're going to deviate from the books, because in Game of Thrones, of course, they had to deviate a little, and in the end, when the books weren't finished, they, of course, had to find their own way. So let's see about that. So the storytelling for me right now is a bit slow-paced, even though things are happening. So that's good. It's just a bit slow-paced in terms of action, I would say. But again, we used it from Game of Thrones. Slow plotting, things are coming around. For now, I would say let's trust them. However, I do think it's time for some action. And looking at the trailer for episode 5, we might be in for some action, which then would make sense. And then the pacing would, according to me, and of course, I'm the authority on this. I'm joking, right? But then the pacing would be on point for me if we get some action now. Okay, so that's the pacing part, right? Storytelling wise, character development also seems all right so far. Again, we need to have some payoff eventually. At episode 4 right now, we've seen the hand being dehanded, not the hand anymore. So I assume that he's gonna make a move in some direction. So like a more extreme move than sending his daughter to F with the king. So that's going to be one thing I'm looking forward to. Then we're going to see the queen figuring out that the princess lied to her eventually. So that's going to trigger a move, I believe. So we're building to this point where things are gonna happen and break down to some extent, I believe. Maybe I should have done this video after episode 5. Maybe we do another one. Yeah, so the slow build-up for all the characters, the character arcs, seems to be on pace, on point so far. Of course, now, depending on is something going to happen rather soon. If this now continues for another 5 episodes, like something needs to happen, then maybe it's a bit of a slow build. I do like to the king, in terms of you can see that he's losing patience, that he's very extreme in his feelings. Like, he hates his brother, he loves his brother, he hates his brother, and so on, this back and forth. He's torn. This is nice. He seems to become weaker and weaker and less likable with every episode, which is good. So eventually, you're probably going to dislike him more before he then, of course, dies at some point. Maybe even at the hand of someone, of course. Yeah, so that's the story. Then the Mace has come into play. We haven't seen that much of them just yet. Yeah, so far, I'm happy. I think they're doing a good job in this building slowly. I think they're doing a good job in introducing characters, not too many at a time, which makes sense. You don't want to be just like, here, more new characters, so good. I do think that for next episode, for example, we will see a new hand of the king, and probably going to be that dude who was advising him anyways before. So that's going to be interesting. So I think so far from a media production / theories point of view, without giving you too many of the theories, but you shouldn't be introducing too many new characters at a point, because it's going to be confusing. You should make sure that the audience can follow the development of the character, so you don't lose them. We need to be able to understand the characters' decisions. Even though we are against the decisions, we should be able to understand them. All those things are like theories of like how to create good storytelling, good media characters, and so far they're doing this quite well. No surprise, of course, because obviously they have the right people behind it, and of course they also read their research. So far so good in this case. So we have the storytelling, we have the character arcs, we want to see some action, and oh yeah, sure, let's review the dragons. They're cool. That's my review. The dragons are cool. Apparently, we're going to see a huge dragon soon. Going to be interesting. I'm usually not one that's like blown away by CGI or anything. So also this is not too wow for me, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that they are just normal there right now, and still a wow thing. So there are there, not like in Game of Thrones. Oh, we have one dragon. So they're everywhere-ish, but it's still special when they come, which is nice. Other than that, like I said, I'm not one that's blown away by CGI, but it's a nice story arc as well. Apparently, not everybody can ride the dragons, as we know, of course. But then it's not only the one family can ride dragons; there are other dragon riders, I think. So I still have to figure that out. I'm looking forward to more of that, because, of course. Now, while I'm saying this, pardon my coughing. While I'm saying this, I'm thinking, there should be there will be another story arc somewhere in there, of course, with the dragons eventually, who the dragon trusts and who not, and so on. Probably down the road. Other than that, not much to say about the dragons just yet. Probably also after episode 5 when things break down. More on that, I assume. Okay, so dragons, awesome. Then storytelling, character arc, okay. Plot-wise, okay. The plots also make sense so far. You can see the development again. So, okay, the one issue I had, but that's just me being conservative. The one issue I had now was, of course, with the princess like being in the brothel and like then doing the deed with the knight, her guard. How old is she? She seems too young. But then, back in those ancient fictional times, things went down way faster. I mean, her friend is with the king and now she's the queen. So, okay, maybe she just looks too young. I take it back. Other than that, yeah, the plot thicken. All the plots thicken. I like that there are many side plots, side stories in there, which is cool. You don't only need to focus on one story. Also, media theory, right? You don't only need to focus on one main story. You have like many meta stories, however you want to call it. Eventually, they will come together at some point, of course. And when they all cross paths and then come together, it's gonna be a disaster. Cause of course, it's still Game of Thrones / House of the Dragons. It's not gonna be like, hey, happy ever after. There's gonna be tragedy, of course, and we can't wait for it. We are all here for it. Okay. So now, okay, we have this. Other than that, I think we really need to do like one in-depth, detailed breakdown video once the season is over, because right now there's lots of guessing in there for me. Like if I'm thinking of like, okay, this character can go down that way, this character goes down that way. We will have to see what decisions they make, and that's the cool thing actually. Also, what I like about Game of Thrones / HODT. I learned that from YouTube to say it like this, or HODT. That's actually I learned to say HODT. Okay, so what I think about HODT. The decisions the characters make really matter, which is a good thing, right? Very often, in TV shows especially, we see like, okay, character makes a choice, and then like next episode is like, okay, never made the choice, whatever, didn't really matter. In this case, the choices they make really matter, which makes sense, but it's just not always the case, so that's good. I am a fan, as you probably also are, of Damon, of course, the calculating, conniving, mean, still kind of good at heart, though, guy who sees that the king is weak and that everybody wants a throne, but also feels that he should be the next in line. So I like to see this character a lot. That's why probably he's gonna die unexpectedly or something. But so far, I do like this character the most, as many of you probably also. Okay, I think I just ended right here because, again, I don't just want to speculate. I actually want to watch it first, and then once we watched everything, going to break down everything that happened, why it happened, and then maybe focus on like what's going to happen next, because then we also see how do they run the show, and then we can also then, take it from there and see, okay, if they ran the show that way this far, let's see how they're going to do it or what they're going to do for the next season then. So I'll definitely be back after the first season is over, and then we're going to dive into the details, dissect everything. Why did it make sense? Didn't it make sense? What did they do well? What could they have done better? So there will be a super detailed video after the first season of HODT, House of the Dragons. Until then, do let me know, what do you think? Who's your favorite character? Do you think it's too slow paced? Is the pace all right? what do you expect to happen? What bothers you? What do you like so far? Are the dragons cool? Shout out in the comments. Let me know. I'm really curious to hear where you're at so far. And then after the season, we're going to meet again and we're going to dissect it in detail. Then I'm also going to tell you, if you want, let me know in the comments. Do you want me to really put out the theories that I see that are applied or are being applied in HODT? Because there are lots of media theories that they're using. Obviously, every show uses, to an extent, certain underlying media theories, like how to engage audiences and whatnot. Do you want this on the screen, or is it too much and I shouldn't be lecturing here? Really, let me know what works for you. I'm really happy to hear some feedback and then adjust the upcoming videos on that. So thank you very much for giving me your time for now. I appreciate it. Do like, share, subscribe if you want to. That would really help to reach a bigger audience, and then I know better how to adjust those videos, put more theories in there, have some visuals of those theories, whatever really works for the audience. I'm happy to try. If you want, if you're listening to the podcast, do rate it. That would really help to reach a bigger audience, and I would appreciate it very much. Until then, as always, stay safe, take care, keep your dragons warm, your dragon eggs warm, and I'll see and talk to you next time. Sawadee Kap.